It's such a weird question. I love it.
All right, we're going live here. And I'm not going to forget to post this to Discord this time, like I often do.
Yes, don't forget.
Because Justin's back. He's back. He's here.
The prodigal son has returned.
I think you're going to need to check that audio again. Did you play? I think I heard it through your headphones, like faintly. Yeah, I barely heard it.
Motherfucker. Oh, it's because it's through the H5. God damn it.
The H5. Now we're cooking with air gas.
When I made the joke about the 11-year-old directing the film, I put that in there. And that's because you said air horn, and I was like, wow, he just glazed over the joke.
Nice.
But because you didn't hear it.
Yep. And whenever I don't respond to your audio stuff, it's probably a good sign to be like, I should check the output on this because that's typically how it goes, you know?
Oh.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been too long.
I love that we went through like a whole episode where we were doing that, and you're like, man, Doug is just not listening to my stuff. He's just like, he's not reacting to anything. And this is bullshit. It's absolute bullshit.
It's absolute bullshit. It is.
Oh, it is.
Oh, at Noah Reno.
It's hey!
It's the boy.
It's my boy.
It's
my boy.
Thank you for filling in and doing an incredible job for me as guest host when I was gone at Noah Reno.
Yeah.
Shit.
That's right.
I love you.
Y'all got to make sure to check out Noah Reno on Twitch. Noah, for some reason, your notification came through on Discord an hour and a half into your stream. I don't know why, but I was like, hey, he's live. And I hopped in and it's like, it's been an hour and a half. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are we just now finding out about this? So, yeah, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Come on.
Fucking LinkedIn sucks.
Yeah.
Am I right or am I right?
Sucks. LinkedIn sucks. Everything sucks. Twitch
Everything is awful. Everything's bad. Oh, Jeremy Renner, what happened to you, buddy?
Are you just hearing about this?
What, that Jeremy Renner's here?
That he had a snowplow accident?
That's, of course he had a snowplow accident, because what else is more Hollywood than a snowplow accident?
Apparently his leg got caught underneath his giant machinery.
That's pretty brutal.
Yeah. Feel bad for him.
You know what? Kudos to him.
Sounded insincere, but
it really did, but I'm not going to hold it against you.
I do feel bad. Like I don't know how else to say that to where it sounds sincere. I feel bad that happened to Jeremy Renner.
Yeah. Let's do it one more time. Give me a little more feeling. Let's do it.
Did you hear Jeremy Renner's leg got caught underneath his snowplow machine?
Hawkeye!
Yeah, I feel really bad for the guy.
All right. We'll take it. We'll accept it. Oh boy. Looking at I don't know if people realize that this this bit that I did with or I should say that Slotty and I did.
Andy America?
No, with Alex Jones reviewing Bluey. You guys know that was AI, right? Like it's not a real thing.
What are some of the comments?
Someone just commented, Alex cares so much about the children, he literally harassed and bullied the parents of dead children and lied about their deaths. Eye roll. I'm like, guys, this is not real. Did you read the intro? There's also a static text that says AI Alex Jones reviews Bluey. So
yeah.
Listen, Alex Jones is a piece of shit, okay? I'm not vouching for the guy, but what we did has nothing to do with Alex Jones. It's making fun of Alex Jones. So I just want everyone to be aware of that. So everyone
Alex Jones did not say what is being said, although he probably would have.
Although the best thing is when we were done, you probably could have been like, is Alex Jones an AI? Because that's how it feels, you know?
Well, that's the thing. When it got done, I had to remind myself that Slotty created that because it did. In my head, I was like, man, Alex Jones is a piece of shit. And I'm like, nope, that was AI. It sounded just like something he would say, though. Like it really, truly did.
Yeah, that AI nailed it when he threw in the vampires. You know, because he mentioned stuff like that. Like it knew the references. Like it knew what was going on, and it knew what was up. So,
do you think people thought that you were an AI creation? Just a really well done AI creation. Like a
Boy, I
deep
hope
fake.
so. Maybe they'll tune back in to never see that. Maybe they'll be like, maybe when they tune, they're like, is Doug the AI? Is this AI guy real?
Is this AI guy real? He looks so real.
He does. He looks so real.
This AI guy looks just like Andy America.
If I was AI, would I be able to do this? I don't think so.
Nope.
Nope. Don't think so.
AI. Fact. AI cannot produce cavernous farts.
Yeah, it's true. It's one of my favorite moments in South Park when Cartman is pretending to be a robot that's made out of cardboard, and because he wants to play a prank on Butters, but then Butters tells the robot that he has a dirty little secret on Cartman and he can't wait to share it with everyone. So Cartman then pretends to be the robot to find out where he's hid this evidence about him having a tea party, made up tea party and stuff like that. So he goes on this crazy adventure with Butters to LA, and somehow people are like astounded, like, look at this robot, and a TV exec's like, we can use him to make pitch like movie ideas, and Cartman's just making up this shit all the time, and it goes on this amazing thing where people are like, this is a real robot, it's sentient, it has feelings, and then it creates this war, the scientists are fighting for him and everything, and then in the middle of all like this big climax, like Cartman farts, and they're like, wait, did that robot just fart? They're like, he's like, initiating fart sequence, and they're like, wait, robots can't do that. And it's like, oh my God, it smells. He's like, initiating fart smell sequence. They're like, wait a second. And they pull off the thing and realize he's a real kid, even though he's got cardboard. Like, it's just funny. Like, that was the thing that made them be like, this isn't a real robot.
I love that show so much.
Yeah.
It's so brilliant.
Great moments going back to that show and seeing all those times. I love going back and being like, I remember this episode. It's fun.
Yeah.
There's a real sweet spot. If you go back to the beginning, you're like, this isn't too great. This is... Right. It was kind of one note in a lot of ways. It pushed it for the time, but then you got to wait till it really hits its stride. We're like, we're going to make a point about some things.
Yeah. I would say similar to The Simpsons. I feel like South Park had that pocket where it was, and Family Guy too. I feel like they all went through that pocket where they were just like, man, they are firing on all the writers, the animators, everyone involved with this are firing on all cylinders.
They had something to say. And it was very funny. And I just remember, like, there was just so many episode after episode. I'm like, oh my God, they're killing it right now. Like, just making fun of shit. And their production schedule was pretty much like SNL, you know, where they would just come down to the wire.
Yeah.
Yeah. With all the stuff that they were animating and stuff. It was awesome. Still awesome. Like, I haven't watched it in a while. I haven't watched it, kept up with anything, but, it's all good in the hood.
I would argue that, I mean, the shows, while they may not be as poignant as they used to be, if you go back today and watch an episode of The Simpsons or Family Guy or South Park, I would say, I would confidently guess that it's going to be a good, entertaining episode. It just might not hit as hard as it did when it found its pocket.
Yeah.
I think all those shows are they're run by such good, smart people that it's hard for them to make a bad show. It just might not be as cutting as it used to be. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to do that. It's hard to keep up with that. So I don't fault them for it if they can't keep it going. It's tough work, but I think they've made their mark and they're still going. And I find that to be pretty goddamn impressive. So
commendable, in fact.
It might be even commendable, if you will. If you will. All right. Well, I think it's time to get this show on the road.
Did we not start yet? Oh,
no. You sacks of shit. Are you ready? You pieces of shit. Are you ready for what we're about to give you? Can you handle it? Because it's going to happen right now.
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready?
Are you ready, kids?
There we go. Nice.
I would lick the pole.
All right.
There it is.
And we are recording. And 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I am Doug.
And I am the one they know as Justin.
Justin's back. He's returned.
I'm back, baby.
Missed you, buddy. We all missed you.
Missed you too. Oh, man. It was tough going out and fighting. What was I doing? I was saving the kids from the demons.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something else I was doing the first week. But yeah, my journeys were worth it, but they were long, and it kept me away from you and our Mind Gap family. So I'm
Your
glad to be back.
your hero's journeys were long and epic, and you went and talked to the sage, who found you and gave you your wisdom, and then you went and you met your first difficult trial, which you overcame, but then you had to doubt yourself, doubt the path that you're on. And I don't remember the character circle that Dan Harmon put together, but I remember bits and pieces.
If he's going to do this full thing, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I was like, I remember bits and pieces, but I don't know all of it. So,
I got to pull it up now. Dan Harmon story circle.
So good. So well done.
What do we got here? It starts with, just give me that. So in a zone of comfort, they desire something. They enter an unfamiliar situation. They adapt to that situation. They get what they desired. They pay a heavy price for winning. They return to the familiar situation, and they have overall changed.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. And that's what I did.
Yeah. I'm proud of you.
I overall changed.
Overall, I changed.
Yeah.
My pants.
I changed my overalls.
Yes.
I came back here.
And we're all the better for it, honestly. Yeah. All of us.
Most people don't know, but I would say just about every day I wear overalls, but I wear a shirt over them, so you don't know that I'm wearing overalls.
They're underalls.
Yes. They're over some.
That's right.
Because I wear an undershirt and then those, and then a regular shirt. So they're over sums.
Why are overalls? I guess some people made it cool a couple years ago, but overalls for the most part, you look at that, you're like, what's this redneck up to? What's this farmer doing? Well,
it depends, because they had their heyday back in like the late 80s, early 90s. Like they were in vogue for a little while. For kids, they were the Oshkosh Bagoshes.
Yeah.
And then for the adults, because if you watch like Friends and any of the shows, like the people who are setting the style trends, they're wearing overalls and they're rocking them. So, but then all of a sudden fell back out of style. And lately I would say that I've seen some people rocking them again.
Good for them.
I don't know. But if someone like you or I wore them, it would be, what's that redneck up to?
Right. Look at this idiot. I can tell me you're from Missouri without telling me you're from Missouri. It's easily what that would be.
Yeah.
Like, where's Andy America?
That's what Andy America was missing. We need to get Andy America a pair of overalls.
Yeah, I feel like going shirtless doesn't necessarily. I mean, it kind of works, but not really. Right. Maybe like
if you had some denim straps going over each, gently draping over each shoulder, I feel like that would really.
The gently, adjective just seemed very, I don't know, romantic. It's gently, one slowly slipping off the shoulder,
There's everything about Andy America is romantic.
Right. I say that or a dirty tank top, a dirty white tank top stained with barbecue sauce and sweat and some other like yellow fluid. You're like, is that sweat or is that somehow urine? I don't know, but it's there,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that we're slowly piecing together the uniform for Andy America.
Andy America is a fun guy, and I don't think he got the credit he deserved. I just want to put that out there.
We'll see Andy. Will he return for a guest spot at any point in time?
I mean, I think
he's due for a return, or is he retired?
No, I think he's Andy America. Here's the thing.
Yeah,
it's easy to look at Andy America and be like, here's this one note guy. Here's this guy who's just like really concerned about making sure he has guns to kill kangaroos. This guy who's just is hunting wildlife and everything like that. But I mean, at his core, he's still a human being. He loves the Ernest movies. He's got, he's very, endearing, with lovemaking in Bone City. He's got a lot going on there. He's layered,
Yeah.
So I think if you're silly, you categorize him as a one note, but that's just not who he is. So
yeah.
He's more than that, And are you going to agree with everything that he says? Probably not, but what human do you agree with everything, on? It's just not how it works. It's not how the world works. So I don't know. He's a cool dude. All right. So
I dig it.
Yeah. You better fucking dig it. Fucking dig it. Justin, Happy New Year, buddy. And Happy New Year to everyone else who's listening.
New Year to you.
Yay.
You know what? For that matter, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Like I was gone for all of it. So, tell me, how were things?
I had 2 weeks off for the holidays, which was awesome. All of my plans fell through.
Awesome.
So I had whatever I had planned didn't work out. So it was just me, Jill and Nat for 2 weeks, which was incredibly chill. But by the end of it, I think we were ready to get back to something because that was a lot of time off, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I played a lot of video games. I didn't do everything I wanted to do creatively, but I was also like, fuck it. I'm going to enjoy this time to myself, and played a lot of video games. We went to play laser tag, which was nice. And Jill came with us that time, which was fun. So, and Natalie actually got some score. You know, she actually hit someone, which was cool.
That's awesome.
So it was fun. We had a good time with that. But yeah, I had big plans. Like, we're going to go out and do stuff. And then it got to be negative 35 degrees around Christmas. So we're like, well, we're not going anywhere for that. And then, you know, it was a lot of, I don't know. It was fine. It was chill. Yeah, it was good. It was really hard to go back to work. Really hard to go back to work because I'm like, A, what the fuck was I working on? And B, I'm just used to not doing much. So this is hard. You're asking me to do things. Like, come on, man. Like, really?
I just came off of 2 weeks of not doing anything.
Yeah. So anything. So that was interesting. And yeah, it was good. It was refreshing. I felt very, disconnected from work and other stuff, and enjoyed doing the podcast with Noah and Seth, and we made do, and yeah, it was good. It was a good time. How about you? How were your holidays?
They were good. I feel like you guys did more than make do. I feel like you guys crushed it.
We had a solid guests. They're never gonna match. They're never gonna be you, Justin. But when push comes to shove, and I gotta assemble the Avengers. Yeah, they answer the call, and that's what I always appreciate. So shout out to those two for helping out.
I had a weird couple. It was a weird December, we'll say, with some family stuff going on, a few health things. It was a weird December, but all in all, it was great because I got to go back down to the Quad Cities. I got to spend just about a full week down there, which is the longest time that I've gotten to spend at my dad's place since I went to college down there.
Wow. What was that like?
It was awesome. It was
nice.
Absolutely awesome. They kept they're like, wow, we don't have anything like really fun planned or anything like that. And I was like, we don't need to. Like, it's just fun being down here and existing, just getting to hang out with everybody and just have just have a moment of time down here without having to run around and do a ton of stuff. It's nice just to exist with the people that you love, So I said, we were sitting watching TV one night. I was like, you realize that if I was in Grand Rapids, I'd be doing the exact same thing tonight. Like, this is you're not slowing me down. This is my life. And I'm loving the fact that I'm doing this just elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I think that's a misconception that, like, when you're sometimes with family, it has to be a big event, and it really doesn't. Like, I found some of the best times I've had hanging out with my brother. We just hang out and watch each other play video games like we're 10 years old again, and we watch movies, and we have a blast. I remember I did like 3 or 4 days with my brother once, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. I'm having and he was like, dude, you got to play this game. He just watched me play. He's like, yeah, do this. And I'm like, I'm having so much fun. He goes, awesome. Me too. I'm like, this is great. A chair broke. We went and bought a chair, put it together. I remember we were laughing our asses off as we are trying to figure out how to put it together. It was just a very memorable, good time. We didn't do anything huge. It was just very simple, which is why sometimes when I go to places and it seems like, because there's one thing, it's one thing to have like the production, but it has to be earnest. You know what I mean? If it's we're going through the motions because this is what we're supposed to do, it doesn't have the same feel. And I'm like, we don't have to do this, right? You realize we could just make this infinitely easier and just not do this, like that would be better for everybody.
So it was good to go down there and do that. And we did a grand tour of families. So I was gone for about 12 days, which was fun to try to figure out how to pack and then get the car packed. Cause we came down with our washer and dryer and our units on the fritz. So we came down with a ton of laundry.
Oh, nice. It was like you were in college all over again, It
was really like it. Yeah. Presents for everybody. And then we had to come back with that laundry plus all the presents that we exchanged, then we got, and then that it was a crazy bit of travel, but went to the Quad Cities for a week, then went up and saw Beth's family for like 4 days, and then out to Schaumburg to see my mom, and we saw everybody, and then came back here and had a very easy, low-key New Year, which is exactly how I like my New Year's now. I don't like to go out anymore. New Year's, I think we've talked about this in the past.
Numerous times. Fuck New Year's.
Well, any New Year's celebration is usually just it's a disappointment.
Yeah.
You go out and it's this big night where everyone just gets shit-faced, and what a way to kick the year off.
Yeah.
By blacking out,
Yeah, it's not.
It's just, there's nothing fun about that.
It's not all it's cracked up to be. So
no, absolutely not.
I just had a strange. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and then we got good news that we're actually closing on our house on January 24th.
That's what I'm talking about.
What the fuck is that sound effect?
I love it. I'm so happy.
Be the new one.
I love it. I love you, and I'm so happy because this has been a long time coming.
Very long time.
I don't think people know the backstory of how this has been going on, because it's like one of those things where you don't want to tell people like, hey man, I applied for a job. Like, oh, that's cool. And they're like, how'd that go? And you're like, it didn't happen. You don't want to put it out there because then you have to answer for whatever updates are happening. But you and Beth have been looking for a long time.
Quite some time.
Yes. Even before you left for Michigan, you were looking for a house, and I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled that this is taking shape now. This is very exciting.
It's one of those too where you're excited because at the time when you're looking for all these, one falls through, or you put an offer on, and then someone comes in and puts a better offer. You think you got, and it's this whole back and forth and emotions, and you just feel like you're never gonna find the right house. And then we found this house. We're actually glad none of the other ones worked out, because we're so happy about the one that we're moving into. And so you got to trust the process. And that's when you're in it, it's the hardest thing in the world to do, is to trust the process. When you're at the end of it, or when you're nearing the finish line, you can look back and go, yeah, it was the right thing to do. It's just trust your realtor, trust the you're moving towards this one might not have worked out because of X, Y, and Z. And when you find the right one, it's going to make sense. And so it was worth it. We're excited. We cannot wait to get in there and to host you guys and have a good time. So it'll be a good time. But most excitedly, I'm the most excited to delete the fucking real estate apps for my phone. I don't want those on my phone anymore. I can kill all the alerts I've been getting, and I don't have to. Every time a new batch hits, I'm not frantically scrolling through them trying to be the first one to contact the realtor. Done.
You couldn't have picked a worse time to be looking for a house. Like, that was just the absolute worst time, when it was essentially a seller's market and everyone was just beating it. It was like Black Friday for 9 months. As people were scrambling over each other to get homes, and
people were throwing down and you heard stuff about it on the news, but unless you were in it, you really didn't. It didn't hit. You really didn't grasp it. People were throwing down $50,000 over asking blindly. $50,000 over asking, like cash offers, piles of cash getting thrown out. Waiving inspections, just all sorts of crazy shit. You're just like,
I heard stories of someone buying the seller's next house for them.
Absolutely.
And it was like, as a seller, how could you not say no to that? It was just so overinflated. And then recession comes. And what happens? Higher interest rates. So it's like, great. Now this stuff's cooling off, and now interest rates are getting jacked to the tits, and you get to deal with that. So
luckily things are starting. Interest rates seem to have relatively peaked, and there's information that says that come next year they might start to trickle back down to maybe the low 4s. So we'll be looking at a possible refi.
That is the good thing, is that refinancing is always an option with that.
Yes.
I was fortunate in that I was able to take advantage of that when rates were very, very low. I had a loan. The person I did my loan through was like, hey, have you guys thought about this? And initially I was like, fuck off. But then I was like, actually, no, this is not a bad idea. We can, capture, and I shaved a couple $100 off a month from my mortgage because I was able to refinance. I was like, sweet, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I'm looking for.
I've heard people who have like family members who told me, yeah, since we've owned our home for like they've owned their home for maybe the last 20 years, like we've refied 5-6 times in that time, like just to keep knocking it down and keep, like we know we're going to be here. We know we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And, if you know you're going to stay in a place and it's the right move for you and you can afford the refi costs and everything, like it's definitely a nice option to have in your back pocket.
100%. 100%.
This has been Real Estate Talk with Doug and Justin.
Let's talk about the house that's right for you. Have you been watching the market? What zip code are you looking in? Write in the comments below. What's your dream house? What are you looking for? Do you want 4-bed, 2-bath? What's the square footage? Do you want an older home? Do you want a fixer-upper? Do you want a modern, all-inclusive, turnkey home? Well, guess what? We know people who have possibly done that in their lives. So there you go.
It's the most non-committal pitch.
Yeah.
We know people who have maybe possibly done that in their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Noah says, now it's my turn to be stressed about the house stuff for months. Yeah. Sorry, pal. It was, I got lucky. I know I got lucky. It took Jill and I one day of looking at houses. We found one that we really liked. And the sellers were extremely motivated. It was during winter. And we were able to close we basically made a deal within a week. And it was done.
That's amazing.
I was like, I was prepared to do what you've been going through. I'm like, this is going to be a long haul.
Dig in, settle in. Yeah.
Right. Let's see what we can find out here. And but we got lucky.
Every day you're checking those listings. I think that's the thing that was killing me is every day you would hope that a good batch of listings hit.
Yeah.
And some days you would get none. And some days you would get a ton of them. And they were all just fucking hot garbage. They looked like they were made of paper mache.
Yeah.
And a stiff fart would blow them over.
Yeah.
And it's soul crushing when you're looking at that day in and day out.
It's a battle of attrition, right? Because you start to realize like, how bad do I want this? Do I want to settle on something?
Right.
And the temptation.
I'll say this: the settling is a real thing.
Yeah.
And it's hard in the moment, but dig your heels in, find your steel and just don't settle. Do not settle because you will kick yourself. I guarantee you.
You're paying for it one way or another. Either you're paying for it when it's for what you want, or you're going to pay to add it after the fact. So,
Absolutely,
know what you want.
Jared, he did say to go back a little bit here. My friends have a great New Year's Eve tradition. They pop a balloon every hour between 1 p.m. and midnight, and each balloon has a simple activity. That sounds like a legitimately fun. If you're going to ring in New Year's, that's chill, but it does sound like a good time. Like that's the way that I would celebrate New Year's now.
Or you could just not do that and do what you want. You can do whatever you want. You have to pop a balloon.
Is popping a balloon too much effort for you now?
No, you're going to have to fill the balloon up with something, right? I'm assuming a card, you got to blow it up. And what is that? 12 balloons?
Yeah. What's that? $1.40? Oh God.
And then you got to pop it. And you got to clean it up. And then
I was like, I knew the cleaning was.
And then that's got to go to a landfill. Some fucking seagull's going to try and chew on it. It's going to die. When you could just be like, I don't know, set an app to be like, ding, randomize. Oh, we got to do this. Or you can just not do that. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Those servers that power those apps,
they're being used to make Ethereum. You're right. It's it's better. It's better use. I understand. You're right.
They're
absolutely
being used to make unobtainium. I get it.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that crypto unobtainium. I also had something I wanted to go back to because you mentioned the Quad Cities, and I'm actually going to be going to the Quad Cities this weekend, and it made me. This is the first time I've thought of this, and I want to get your insight on this.
All right.
How is Bettendorf, Iowa, not a location in like the Lord of the Rings or World of Warcraft? Like Bettendorf sounds like a fantasy name. We're on our way to Bettendorf to see the wizard.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. There's a few of them down there. Like Milan is another one, which is spelled the same way as Milan, but it's pronounced Milan.
Yeah.
But I could absolutely, I could hear that. Bettendorf should be, You know what? We should make a Quad Cities based adventure.
Yeah, right.
That's the next one for you as DM. You need, when we wrap this one up, I want you to make a Quad Cities based adventure.
Yeah.
And we need to travel to the land of Bettendorf.
Mm-hmm. Or Bettendorf is like the king, Bettendorf. You know, King Bettendorf. He rules with kindness in his heart, but watch out for the thieves over in Rock Island, the misfits that roam the coast. And I forget. Oh, Davenport. No, I was like, where are the other ones? There's Davenport, and then what's the other one?
Davenport, Moline. Rock Island, yeah. Moline, Rock Island on the Illinois side, Davenport and Bettendorf on the other side. But
Davenport's obviously a seaside, you know?
Yeah.
The great financial capital, Davenport, you know?
Right.
Ruled. It's kind of like in Game of Thrones, it's like the Golden Army, like the people that have like all the banks and shit that fund armies and things like that.
Yeah.
And then you've got Moline, which is, I don't know, the swamp people or something, you know? The Moline marshes.
The marshes, the Grand Marsh, or no, the Misty Marshes of Moline, because you've got to have alliteration.
The Misty Marshes of Moline.
Yeah.
Don't follow the lights.
Don't follow the lights.
Don't follow the lights.
Yeah.
The lights are tricks.
But Moline, you've got to go through that to get the precious ore that's only found in the Misty Marshes of Moline.
Of course, there's treasure to be found there, but at great cost. You know,
well, you've got to go through there because another one's Coal Valley. So you've got to go through the Misty Marshes of Moline to get the ore in Coal Valley.
Yeah, there you go. Coal Valley. Wait, I can't wait to go get coal. Jesus. You know,
right?
Fucking coal,
man. It really is. That area down there is just wrought with D&D,
dude.
References.
A lot of people don't know this, but
I've never heard that before.
Tolkien based Lord of the Rings on the Quad Cities. I couldn't say that with a straight face. I couldn't do it.
Oh my god.
Oh. The fantasy world of the Quad, even the Quad Cities. Like, if you think about it, it's like, that sounds like a fantasy place. The Quad Cities, 4 mighty nations brought together under one roof. Right. Happy Joe's forever! You know, like... I was going to say the ice cream place there.
Are the Quad City Mallards? Yeah.
I was going to say the ice cream place there, but I need to have some context for it because there is an ice cream place called Whitey's.
Yes.
All right.
Which is the last name of the person. It was, I can't remember his name, but something Whitey was his last. I believe was his last name. Yeah.
So.
And it is delicious ice cream. In fact,
it is. I just didn't want to say Whitey's forever without some sort of context, you know, because that's bad.
Maybe we just skip it all together.
Yeah. I was like, and then there's old Whitey. He's over there.
Old Whitey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be called
Happy Joe's are the band of marauders.
Yeah. Happy Joe's, which is
we're the gang known as the Happy Joes.
Yeah, right. But they wear these masks with like clown masks with faces, but they're actually, like you said, they're marauders. They come by, they're like, oh no, the Happy Joes, and they're like both wielding hatchets in each hand. You know, they're just like ravagers as they go around, just destroying shit.
Years ago, the Quad Cities was struck into 2 fractions by the mighty Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Cut betwixt by the mighty Mississippi.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there could be such a. I legitimately want to make a fantasy.
The Happy Joe Marauders could live in the misty marshes of Moline. You know, they could be one of the many dangers that exist. You know, in there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Driven mad by the mists. You know, they become known as the Happy Joes because all they do is laugh, and the only joy they get is by carving the flesh of their fellow kin. What are we creating right now?
I don't know, but I am into it. Hold on. What is a crag?
It's like a mountainous thing. I'm thinking of the Astro Crag.
The perilous crags of Rock Island.
Ooh, nice.
Right?
Rock Island's where you go. That could be like a prison colony. You know? That's where you send people to Rock Island. It's kind of like the Australia of this world where it's like they drop them off to the prison and they're like, fend for yourselves, you know?
It's kind of like it's like a mix between Australia and what's the Azkaban?
I was like Applebee's.
It's kind of like Applebee's in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's got big spiders and that live under the rocks.
I am so into all of this.
This is
you gotta implement John Deere somehow, because John Deere is based in the Quad Cities.
Ooh. Oh, that's like a leader whose like crest is a stag. It's like the Deer Clan.
Oh,
like
he's the lead. He's been shunned. He's from a noble family, but something happened and he's trying to reclaim. Like he was, you know what I mean? Like generations ago, the Deers ran this, and John Deere the third, Jonathan Deere.
Yeah.
The third. Yeah. He was a nobleman that lost his place at the high table.
Yes. And the Deers still have an impact, but he has somehow disgraced himself, and he's trying to either he doesn't like what his family's done, so he's trying to kind of make his own way, or, I don't know. There's so much to play with there, And there's just like a lot of trains just go in and out of there.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And there's a race that happens every year, and it's like really tough because there's big hills, there's a lot of hills, but people come to race it, so it's a test. It's a feat of strength.
The feat of the Bix, the running of the Bix.
Yes. The Bix, which is like a trickster, a jester. If you can catch the Bix, then you win the maiden's hand or some shit like that, or the favor. You earn the favor of the king. Bettendorf, the king.
King Bettendorf.
To get the favor of Bettendorf, the king, you must catch the Bix. How does this work so well?
I don't know.
How does this work so well?
I am so look, guys. The thing is, we could conservatively round out the rest of this show doing this.
Yeah, we could just create our own fantasy world build it and everything.
Without breaking a sweat. This is amazing.
If you're from the Quad Cities, write a comment about how you would contribute to this fantasy world. What other great things are we missing out on that we've forgotten? Oh my God. How could I forget? There's the Arsenal.
Oh my God, that's got to be the militant force down there.
Exactly, it's independent force.
Controls the Arsenal. Yeah.
Exactly, like they will back the king, but they are their own independent force. They don't just like the king doesn't control them, but they kind of work independently. They're on in their own little island. That
absolutely, yeah.
And you rely on them for safety, but they're also at the same time they're independent. So that could play a big factor in the story.
Publicly, it looks like they work for the king, but privately the king has to curry favor for them. Like he is actually terrified of the Arsenal.
As they should be. The Arsenal's like, we'll back you, but we expect some concessions.
Exactly. Yeah. Publicly, we're behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone knows. Everyone knows that they could turn the tables real quick. You get the Arsenal on your side. You can make a roll for the kingship if you want to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God.
You control everything from the misty marshes of Moline all the way through the coal of Coal Valley.
Yeah, all the way to South Park Mall.
Of Coal Valley.
Yeah, and oh my God.
And there's got to be an ongoing war between South Park and North Park.
Absolutely, there has to be.
Yeah.
The South Side, North Side duels continue on in this world as always. Oh my God, this is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
I'm so excited at the fact that we've stumbled upon this.
Literally, I mentioned today that I was going to Bettendorf, and I was like, Bettendorf, what a dumb name. And then I was like, oh my God, this is like a fantasy name. And then my mind was off to the races, but you've just helped me cultivate even more of that. So
this is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you think that we're not coming back to this off mic, you're crazy.
Yeah. You gotta watch out for the Blackhawks,
Yes. Oh, they patrol the skies.
They do.
They report back to the Arsenal.
They do. The Blackhawks, they are the scouts, So they say they're mythical.
Yeah.
Some people say that they're humans that can transform into hawks, but no one really knows for sure. We just read a fantasy novel?
I'm so excited. Yes.
Oh my God.
You have no idea. Also, I think I know how we're tagging this.
Yeah. Right?
Yep. We're going to get this is going to be our highest listened to episode in the Quad Cities.
Right. Quad Cities? You know what I'm talking about.
We're
coming for you. Yeah. We're coming on you.
Go for you, Quad Cities.
Quad Cities, let me hear ya. In the house all day.
What
Nice.
is it? I just want to know what it is.
Yeah, you don't need to know.
Were these all things that you grabbed while I was gone?
I grabbed 2 things while you were gone. All right.
It feels like so many.
No, it's just the same one used many times.
It's that one, and what is the other one? Nice?
Yeah, it's just a guy you want.
Nice.
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 Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like I need to add a little flavor to it, you know? So
I'm into it.
yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. So let's talk about
Jesus.
let's talk about Jesus. What did you think of his birthday? Was it, lackluster? Did it meet the mark? Or like, what do you think?
The fact that it hasn't come yet. Oh, subverting expectations. Christians, what? Greek Orthodox. Let me hear you.
Greek Orthodox.
The Orthodox calendar has Christmas coming up.
Oh, I love it.
I learned that from Milos.
I learned that from you.
We'd always wish him Merry Christmas because he's Serbian Orthodox, and we'd always wish him Merry Christmas. He's like, "Sure, you heathens."
You fucking
He's like, "You're
idiots.
celebrating the wrong day." I always got a kick out of that.
That's so funny. That's amazing. Well, I want to touch on kind of like a follow-up to something we talked about several episodes ago, which is we talked about how a couple of real cool guys were suing Amazon. Jared goes, "This felt like a Story Break episode." You're goddamn right. A couple of cool guys were suing Amazon and I think a movie studio because the movie Yesterday, which starred Himesh Patel as a man in the world without the Beatles. Apparently there was trailers in this, film for Yesterday, which included clips of actor Ana de Armas. And she was, most notable in her Knives Out, The Gray Man, and Blonde. That's what she's known for. But apparently they filed a suit back in January. God, almost a year ago is when we covered this. Yeah. Alleging that they had rented Yesterday after seeing her in the trailer. However, once they saw the movie, they discovered that de Armas was cut out of the final film. And I believe you and I both made fun of these guys for doing this because, for a couple of reasons. One, Ana de Armas is not the main character in this film. She plays a side character, which I shouldn't even say she does because she doesn't, because they cut her out. So, right. And the whole point of this was the idea that this man gets a concussion, passes out. When he wakes up, he's in a world that doesn't know who the Beatles are, but he knows who the Beatles are and he knows all their songs and he starts to create their songs. People are like, this is amazing. And the story still continues regardless of whether or not Ana de Armas is in it. She was going to play a love interest of sorts, is my understanding of it. And ultimately she got cut out of the film. And these two cool guys were like, we rented this for $5.99 to see Ana de Armas, and she wasn't even in it. And they were apparently livid about it. They were so fucking pissed. And it was like, okay. All right. And apparently the follow-up to this is that, according to Variety, U.S. District Judge Stephen Wilson ruled that movie studios can be sued under false advertising laws if they release deceptive movie trailers. So, previously, Universal tried to throw out the lawsuit. The studio argued that the movie trailers are entitled to protection under the First Amendment, claiming that a trailer is an artistic, expressive work and should be considered as non-commercial speech. Wilson rejected the argument, saying that a trailer is in fact commercial speech. Thus, trailers are subject to the California false advertising law and the state's unfair competition law. Stating, Universal is correct that trailers involve some creativity and editorial discretion, but this creativity does not outweigh the commercial nature of a trailer. Wilson wrote, at its core, a trailer is an advertisement designed to sell a movie by providing consumers with a preview of the movie. So, and for the record, as this article goes on to state, it's not uncommon for movie trailers to include footage that does not actually appear in the finished film. For instance, one teaser trailer for Jurassic Park, which is another Universal film, is made up entirely of cut footage, which I wasn't aware of. So, with this new ruling, though, the door is open for studios to be sued for putting out highly deceptive trailers. And I don't know, this doesn't sit well with me.
Well, we talked about how there was a Marvel when they were coming to the peak of their Infinity Saga. They were, in order to tamp down as many spoilers as they could, they were releasing not only footage that was not in the films, but like footage that was in the films but was doctored, or the VFX were changed So completely re-edited footage, that was in the film, but was nowhere near what the final product was.
Or just straight up fake footage altogether to throw people off.
Footage, yeah.
The scene that comes to mind is in Infinity War, like the final sort of thing that you see is Captain America, Hulk, Black Widow. They're in Wakanda and they're all running together. That doesn't happen. Hulk doesn't show up. He shows up at the very beginning. He doesn't come back till Endgame. So totally false and intentionally done to throw people off because they want to keep people surprised.
Right. Now, look, from I'm going to go back to when we had the discussion about the Velveeta mac and cheese thing. And Practical Doug was like, from a technical perspective, they're not wrong. Like, the packaging says this. I'll say that I will agree with this judge in that one of the foundations of a movie trailer is to advertise a movie, to try to get people to go see the movie. So it is advertising of a film with the intent to, solicit, to get money from people. Like, I agree with that base definition of,
we can both agree on that
base idea of what a trailer is. Now, that being said, if a movie studio, for whatever reason, by their own decision, or if reshoots force that to happen, or an actor, maybe an early trailer gets released, that actor drops out, they have to reshoot a bunch of stuff that ends up affecting the story. If, for a multitude of reasons, that we talked about a bunch of them off mic when we were prepping for this. If any of those things happen or a test audience says, hey, we don't like this, which happened in this case, test audiences did not like the fact that the main character ditched his initial love interest, Lily James, for Ana de Armas, said, like, cool, this isn't testing well. We need to change this. The trailer's out there. It's not like you can put the toothpaste back in the tube. And if something needs to change and the studio needs to do that for their film, they have every right to do that, in my opinion. This is their film that they're making. A trailer is supposed to give you a general idea of what the film is. And in this case, I would argue that it did give you an idea. The fact that one actor is or is not in the film does not change the overall story of what this film is.
Agreed.
And so I think in this specific instance, this is extraordinarily, this is the definition of excess. Like, there's no need for this lawsuit. This is a superfluous lawsuit. Wow.
Very, very well stated. I agree. Like, if someone is, let's use Ana de Armas again.
Frivolous.
Superfluous.
I was like, that word does not sound right. It's frivolous. That's the word I was looking for.
Let's use the Ana de Armas, example. She's in the movie Blonde about Marilyn Monroe. If for some reason they were, they send this trailer, it's about Marilyn Monroe, and then Marilyn Monroe is barely in the film, right? It's actually about, as I joked before, her real estate agent or something like that. And that would be deceptive, right? Like, we're showing up there thinking, oh, this is going to be all about her. It's like, nah, we're not going to cover that at all. 100% nail their ass to the wall for that sort of shit. But it's just like the woman who tried to sue for, the movie Drive with Ryan Gosling. They're like, I thought this was going to be Fast and Furious. There's barely any driving in it. It's like, that's not the movie. I mean, I remember watching the trailer and being like, I get the fact that this guy drives for some stuff and he doesn't drive that much in it. So maybe there's some loose thing, but I'm like, watch the movie. All right. Did the trailer get you interested to see the movie? Were you going to hopefully see some car races and stuff like that? I don't know. I get kind of upset about this sort of stuff, because if something like this is, if a judge is going to be like, yeah, this is totally okay. I'm like, no, in this specific situation, no. Could you find a better example? I bet you could. I bet someone could find a better example to bring forward to be like, this was deceptive and we can go with that. But when I look at this example, it's like, no. This actor, again, the core of the movie, which is very easy to understand, they put it out there. What if one guy knew who the Beatles were, and no one else did in the world, and then he tried to capitalize on that? That's the movie. And whatever happens in between, that's still how it works. It's like the invention of lying with Ricky Gervais. The name of the whole point of that is it's about the guy that first invented lying. Right. In a world where people didn't lie, they always told the truth. It's like, what happens there? And then whatever sort of relationships happen around that premise, it's debatable. It'd be like Jurassic Park, but it's all squirrels. Sure, that would be deceptive. There's no dinosaurs in here at all.
There's just ghosts.
Yeah, no, you could also argue because there's constantly trailers that there's sequences and stuff that are shown in the trailer that don't show up, right?
Absolutely.
If you're going to see like, oh, there's this awesome dinosaur fight, but that specific sequence doesn't happen, but there's other awesome dinosaur fights in it, is that deceptive? I would argue no, right? Like,
I mean, and I'll take it to this. Now that this Pandora's box has been opened, can people sue because a certain scene wasn't in the trailer but was in the film?
That's what I'm worried about.
You know what I mean? Like, and as silly as that sounds for me saying it, and some people are like, oh, come on, you're being ridiculous. Am I? Because people out there think in this capacity. They go, cool, now a precedent has been set. How far can I take this?
Someone is suing over the time it takes to cook Velveeta shells and cheese. All right. There's no the bar is not low enough. All right. Like,
exactly.
There's no bar because that doesn't exist. Like, people can go as low as they want for this sort of stuff. And I honestly, again, I can't imagine the frustration someone would have to go like, we ran this movie and Ana de Armas wasn't in it. I'm going to sue someone over this. Like, what?
Right.
How much time do you have on your hands to do this?
Right.
And
my God, talk about you two better be the presidents of her fan club, because that is a level of dedication and fandom that is just unrivaled. If her few minutes in this film are going to make or break the whole fucking movie for you, is it worth $6?
Yeah,
is it worth suing and spending that much money over? Come on.
Yeah, it's bonkers, and we seem to always find these stories of people doing these lawsuits, and
yeah.
I want to go on the record and say that, listen, if someone is actively being very deceptive about something, fucking hold them accountable for it. Absolutely 100%. If someone says your Velveeta shells and cheese can be cooked in 2 minutes, but it takes you 30 minutes, that's not cool. Even if it takes like 15 minutes, it's like, that's not cool. That's not true. You're obviously profiting off of a lie. Hold them accountable for it, all right? But when it's just so minute and you're worried about like the semantics of it all, I'm just like, find something else to occupy your time. This is not a good use of anybody's time to look over this stuff and feel like you've been deceived. Like, I can't fathom a world where I would get that outraged that I'm like, I'm getting a fucking lawyer. Now, maybe it's just me, and I'm like, I'm also the guy that doesn't want to blow up 12 balloons and pop them on New Year's Eve. All right, so it's probably a me thing, right? Like, if I get a lawyer, Justin, just know that something horrible has happened. Something went down. I am highly motivated if I've gone to the lengths to hire a lawyer, and it won't be over something as piddly as this. Like,
right.
Even if I bought a ticket to a movie and it wasn't what I expected and I felt like they lied to me, I wouldn't sue them over it. I would just never spend my money on that movie studio ever again. I would remember that and I would vote with my dollars. I'd be like, yeah, fuck those guys. Like, just like any gaming company that's ever put out a game, they're like, this is going to be amazing. The game sucks. I'm going to be like, listen here, fuckers. No, you're never going to get that from me ever again. All right. You're not going to get my money. I'm not going to give you that shit. Fuck off. Eat all the dicks in the world. You're not going to get my money. It ain't happening. So that's how I will handle that sort of situation. I'm not going to get a fucking lawyer and basically, because again, and honestly, I would love to talk to these guys that are suing. I would love to hear their perspective because I don't understand it. I'm talking a lot of shit about them, but I truly don't understand what would cause them to be like, this is it. This is the moment where I'm taking a stand over $5.99 over a rental that I had over Amazon because I felt like I was lied to. I would love to know exactly what's going through their mind because I just don't get it. I just don't.
I feel like you're going to be wildly disappointed by whatever their answer is. Like, regardless, I know you're like, I'd love to know, but I don't think you would. I
would at least try. Even if I don't agree, I would want to understand. I think it's always my goal is I want to understand. And if I'd be like, that's still fucking crazy, at least I could be like, hopefully I could understand where they're coming from. But just reading this, I can't piece it together. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm just like, what motivated you to be like, plant your flag, we're going to war over this Ana de Armas not being in this movie?
Well, and two, like I'll also say shame on this judge because you have you've cracked this wide open, man. Like I don't know what crawled up under his robe that day, but he again, like this is at least go back to these two knuckleheads and say, hey, look, if you really want to make this a case, find me a better example than this.
Yeah.
I'm willing to hear it, but find me a better, more substantive. Like this is it. It doesn't change. It does not change the story of the story that was set up is the story that was delivered.
Mhm.
That's the crux of it. You could say that the CG looked better. The CG didn't look good in the trailer, so I didn't go see the movie. This movie ended up being my favorite movie once I finally saw it because they fixed the CG in post. It just wasn't that. The amount of things that can be brought from this lawsuit are absurd. You know what I mean?
It's funny because what's attached to this article is a visual list of the most spoilery movie trailers ever, and those are the companies we need to take to court. That's what I'm going to hire a fucking lawyer for, is like for movies that spoil their goddamn movies in the trailers. And that is unforgivable for movies that do that, because I'm like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing this? And I think we should go through a couple of them. You ready?
Yeah. All right. Let's hit them up.
Terminator Salvation. Do you remember this movie? Do you remember the trailer?
I never saw that movie. I don't, and I do not remember the trailer.
I was pumped for the trailer. I was like super into this trailer because for a hot second, I was like, this is one of those movies where I went to the movie and I was like convinced myself that it was good. And like 3 days later, I'm like, that wasn't good. But like I told myself, I'm like, oh man, that was so good. And it really wasn't. But in this movie trailer, they literally show, the whole point is like Sam Worthington like shows up in the apocalypse, and they show in the trailer that he is a Terminator. Like he's part Terminator. Like that's like, and so when
the still shot of this, yeah,
it happens in the film, and they showed it in the trailer. And so it's like that should be like a huge reveal,
right, of
who this guy is. Something it's like, no, they show it in the trailer, so you already know. Like, cool, well, he's a Terminator. It's like, way to go.
Now, shocker, the next one on the list.
Yeah, it's the principal, says Jervis. He says in all weird spelling, it's the principal. Terminator Genesis did not want to see this film at all, but also I can agree, because remember it's like, oh, by the way, there's like a super Terminator that's behind it all. Yeah. Spoiler, there he is. I don't recall this from Daredevil, the bad one, but I guess you see that there's a shot of Bullseye falling to his death.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, poor choice.
Unless someone comes along and there's somewhere he falls on a they call like a tarp coming off the side of the building. I don't see, anytime there's a shot from a 90s film or a early 2000s film, anytime there's a shot that's set up like this, that is clearly a death fall.
I mean, here's the thing. The only thing I can say about that is like, is it a dream sequence? Is it some sort of hallucination? That could be a possibility with something like that, but still it's on your mind as a viewer. You're like, well, he might die. So if like that dream sequence doesn't happen, and it's getting to that point, you're like, oh, I remember this from the trailer. Because if you're like me, I remember this shit all the time from the trailers. It's really bad. Next one, Castaway. They show Tom Hanks like coming home.
reuniting with his girl. It's there's really no, he's sopping wet, and there's the scene where she opens the door and it's just this moment of pure emotion, and you're just like, well, I kind of know where that is. All right,
why would you do that? You didn't have to do that.
And similarly with the next one, Free Willy, that iconic shot that everyone knows, where the kid's standing on the rocks and the orca leaps over him and he's got his fist in the air.
Yeah.
That's Willie escaping. He's free. They show that the biggest iconic shot, was ruined there.
By the way, the still from this, just, man, it is not doing it's not doing the CG any sort of what's the word? Favors. It's
What
not
do you
doing.
mean? That's an actual whale doing that jump, Doug.
That looks so bad. That does not look
100%
good.
The real orca jumping over that kid on the rocks,
Ugh.
and the insurance that they had to get on this movie was insane just
Right.
because of
Yeah, look at that
shot.
water splash too. Looks real
Yeah.
real high
Well,
def.
it's a big whale.
And then we've got, I guess, Speed, which I didn't realize was
This I don't remember here.
there was no reason to show the bus explode, especially immediately before the shot of the hostages reacting to the blast from the safe distance. So basically letting you know that the hostages got away. So if you were watching it, they're like, oh, well, no worries there.
Yeah. I guess they're banking. Only in defense of this one, I would say maybe they're banking on the fact that you don't know who these people, unless you're going to specifically identify one of these hostages. You know, like it's a bus full of people and they're reacting to an explosion.
Yeah, I think you could easily be like, well, I don't know who these people are.
Maybe.
So yeah, you could probably pull that one off. Goldeneye. This one's a good one. So Pierce Brosnan's 007 was shocked to discover his former friend and colleague 006 was not only alive, but also with the bad guy. Audiences, however, weren't surprised at all after the trailer explained this twist in detail.
Yeah, they laid out the fact that, but he's not who he seems. Yeah.
Why would you do that? Because imagine if, again, like there's a couple different ways you could spin this. It's like, here's this guy, and you can make it so that 007 is familiar with him, but you don't know why. And now, granted, in the film, this is established immediately. Like, you know, you see that he feels betrayed, and you think he dies, and he shows up later. But why would you be like, it's 006? So strange, the decisions these people make. The Negotiator, a guilty pleasure of mine. The trailer heats up actually montage that culminates with Spacey threatening, now you're going to have to deal with both of us. The two opposing negotiators join forces because they're both good guys, you see. So, like, I think they were trying to pit, like, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, because it's kind of a thriller. Like, you don't know who's really pulling the strings, and apparently they're like, oh yeah, now you gotta deal with both of us. It's like, oh wait, they're both good. Cool. We know that. We know that going into this. The Island, oh yeah, the big twist. I remember this.
I don't remember this one.
This was a director Boom Boom, Michael Bay. There we go. That's his name. I call him director Boom Boom because he's just all about explosions. It's the people living in the world of the film are actually clones and kept prisoner until the originals need spare parts. So in the trailer, Steve Buscemi's character says almost all of it word for word. So
I don't even remember this movie.
I remember seeing the trailer for it because it has Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson. I think it's one of her earlier roles.
Interesting. Okay.
And I remember I was like, hey, this is the same premise from a bad movie I saw in Mystery Science Theater 3000. Where it's the same thing, like these guys like were in this place and, you know, it was the clones and they were being told, you know, if you act good, you get to go to paradise, basically. But what happened is they get called in to get their organs harvested by the owners of the clones. And so I'm like, hey, it's that movie. They remade that bad movie. So I kind of already knew what it was. Funny People, Judd Apatow's a movie. The trailer tells us that he recovers from his terminal illness. It's like, nice. Great.
Right. Let's just say, cool. You're worried about him dying. Don't worry about it. Just enjoy all the funny things that happen.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
This one, did you catch this? Because you were a fan of this movie big time, The Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, Cabin in the Woods. I didn't catch this.
You didn't? Okay.
I don't even know if I saw a trailer for it, to be honest with you. I just heard it was.
You get glimpses of these monsters attack. So the whole twist is that there are people who are pulling the strings and controlling these monsters, and it's all it's an experiment, right?
Spoiler alert. Do you want me to, have you seen it?
I did, but it's been a long time, and I don't care if
well, I mean, we're kind of spoiling this. That's kind of the point of this right now. Yeah, but the whole point of this is like, I think it's a really great film. It's really great because it touches on
a fun film for sure.
It touches on all of the tropes of horror films, and the idea is that all of those horror films are real because they are part of a sacrifice to these dark gods that they have to happen Like everything has to happen in a certain way. Like so and so has to die. The whore, as they has to die first, and then there's a jock. There's an intellectual. There's all these things. But the virgin, there's the pure person, can live or die. It depends. And so like they have all these rules which follow the tropes. But the idea is that this has been manufactured for generations to keep the world safe from apocalypse. And you find out that that's what the whole core of this is that these people get lured to a cabin in the woods. They fit these profiles, and then it's essentially like a corporate operation that is like trying to get these people to fulfill these things. It's a nice mix of horror and comedy. It's very interesting. It's a very cool film. I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, but in the trailer, you get a picture. You get a clip or a view of the monsters actually attacking the people in the control rooms who are manufacturing all of this. And so you're just like, oh, well, so there's a behind the scenes. And
you could argue possibly if I could be nitpicky with that, you don't know what these monsters are. They could be attacking a corporate office anywhere. It could be,
the twist is so unexpected. I think that's the thing that people loved about this movie is that no one had ever taken this approach on a whole movie like this before. So it was so out there that it would be really hard to guess what they were doing.
I lump that in with like the Speed one, where you'd have to. It's a tough thing to be like, oh, those are the people who got out of the bus that exploded. Whereas this one, it's like, I didn't realize this was the corporate facility that's underneath the cabin in the woods.
Right.
And then you have the Two Towers, Lord of the Rings, where it reveals that Gandalf is alive, which I have to argue is probably a fair criticism, right? Like I remember seeing the trailer for it. I'm like, oh, Gandalf's alive. You could have easily not shown that, because Gandalf's not in the movie very much at all. So you could easily just not show that and showed all the other cool stuff and not have that reveal in there. So that's a really good call out, I think.
Yeah. I promise there's only 7 more of these guys.
Yeah, we're good. We're getting good. We're having fun. Total Recall. I didn't realize that they actually. Not only did you know that Sharon Stone's character is working against Quaid, you'd also know that he files for a very permanent divorce from the barrel of a gun. Oh wow, I didn't know that. That the trailer showed that. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Dread, this is another one that I feel like is in line with Speed and with Cabin in the Woods.
And also I'd say Daredevil,
and Daredevil, yeah. So there's a still of Judge Dredd pushing the villain out of a window. When the next shot is a slow motion perspective view of someone falling from that window, that this villain's a goner, but it happens so quick in the trailer. And again, you don't really know the context. So I would say this one is on the edge for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jared said we had The Island on DVDs. It took 2 discs and we lost the second disc. So it was a super weird half film for us.
You watch the first one, you go, what happened? What happens in the movie?
I guess Superman 3. This is an interesting one. Let's see. What did they say?
Spoilers more interesting than the film itself.
Right. In addition to failing, the movie's entire plot was in the trailer, including bad Superman and the goofy team up between Richard Pryor's quasi-villain Gus and Supes at the end. Nice. Well, that's the 80s for you. I'll chalk that up to like everyone knows. Oh my God, you shouldn't see this. Like we got to get people to this film. Oblivion, which they reveal that.
I just want to see it. Superman and Gus.
Gus and Superman. Did it.
Back at it again.
Yeah, the Oblivion is like, what's going on. I actually haven't seen this movie, but the idea that whatever. We're moving on. Batman Justice. Yeah, I love it where they showed we all made fun of this because what's his face? The cave troll from Lord of the Rings that shows up as was it Doomsday?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they showed that. I remember just complaining about this even back then. I'm like, why would you show that? Like, you don't need to show.
Well, first and foremost, it shouldn't have been in the film. We've talked about this too. You packed so much in. This was by itself 2, maybe 3 movies worth of content. Like the death of Superman, if you really wanted to stretch this out, God, you could have made a really cool fucking trilogy out of that.
They also didn't need to show Wonder Woman in the trailer either. That could have been a nice cameo that shows up to get people to go, Batman and Superman fighting. That's all you need to sell this fucking movie.
That is one movie right there. End it. You don't need everything else that fucking happened. The formation of the you don't need all of that. This movie was so overloaded and packed. And a very similar thing happened. It's not on this list, but a very similar thing happened in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
You and I were really pissed that they showed Hulk in the trailer.
Yeah.
If they had just left that out and maybe teased like, oh, he's going to fight someone, and you see the door, to the arena get slammed a little bit, and you're like, what's behind there?
Yeah.
Let people's imaginations run wild.
Right?
That's the kind of reveal you don't need to show.
And when the Hulk comes, people will come. So,
Yes. Hard.
Of course, the Kingsman Golden Circle. Have you seen the Kingsman? Yep.
I have seen most of it. I've not seen the whole. I've intended to sit down and watch it from and all the films in that franchise. I do want to watch them. I've just never bothered to sit down and commit.
I've only seen the first one, and it's a solid film. But Colin Firth dies in it.
Yeah.
So when they're like, the second one, he's alive. It's like, huh? I haven't seen the second one because I was like, I think they're making a poor choice here. And they show him that he's alive, and it's like, oh, that's cool. Apparently, the spoiler was bad enough that the director, Matthew Vaughn, spoke publicly about how against it he was. Oh, it's so dumb. And I guess last one's Ransom, which he publicly turns the ransom money into a bounty on the kidnapper's heads. I actually kind of remember that. Like, I don't know. But whatever. Spoilers. Those are the people that should be taken to jail.
Spoilers. Yeah.
Take them to jail. Sue their asses.
Sue them. Just take them to jail.
Sue their asses for ruining their own goddamn films because they don't know any better. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
I think it's time to move on to something else.
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical, 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 practical. Ask Practical Doug.
Feels good to be back.
Yes.
If you guys have not been here for an Ask Practical Doug before, Practical Doug is a tiny little Doug that lives inside Big Doug, and he helps guide Big Doug in all of life's journeys and through all of life's quagmires. You can ask Practical Doug a question. If you join us live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, you can hop on our YouTube chat, youtube.com/mindgap, and you can, or Mindgap podcast, right? Full thing. That's YouTube's thing. I don't know. Find us.
That's
right. You can ask live in the chat if you want. You can on any social media at Mindgap Podcast and then hashtag Ask Practical Doug. Or you could join the Discord where there is a Ask Practical Doug channel dedicated to questions just for Practical Doug. Today's Practical Doug question comes from me, Doug. I'm asking, should people stop sleeping with their cell phones right next to them? There have been studies that have talked about how it can be detrimental to your sleep. And I'm asking Practical Doug what he thinks.
In what way is it detrimental to your sleep? Answer me that first, Batman.
Now, I am not going to sit here and pretend to know everything from these studies, but what I do know is they say if your phone goes off in the middle of the night, the blue light that is emitted from it can actually, even with your eyes closed, can disrupt your REM sleep cycle. And then it's just the fact that if there's an alarm, even if it's silent, if it buzzes, we're so conditioned to respond to that it can actually have an effect on you getting a full, like super restful night's sleep. I know there is more to it, but that is the surface level stuff that I remember. And also why my phone now sits out in the other room at night.
I was only looking for surface level. That's perfect. That's all I needed. Thank you. I personally turn on the sleep focus, because one, I like the alarm on my watch, which I hold up my hand. I realize it's charging right now. It's not on my wrist. I was like, it's not there. Oh. I like it because I don't like waking up to sharp sounds.
Yes.
So I prefer the vibrating on my wrist to wake me up. It's very nice. It doesn't wake up anybody else. It only wakes me up. It's great. I put on the sleep function so that all notifications are silenced. It also is a nice function because I tell it when I'm going to sleep. I set my my schedule. I'm going to bed at this time, so it sets a wind down for me. So I know I'm like, I should probably start getting ready for bed. So it reminds me of that. And I like, and it will just automatically shut off. So I don't get any notifications at all.
Okay.
Doesn't matter when people send stuff. I do have it so that only Jill, if need be, if she were to call for whatever reason, it would come through. But other than that, yeah, I don't fuck with that stuff. I sometimes like to sleep to music. If Jill is like sleeping in Natalie's room or something like that, I like to sleep to music. So I'll have my phone on for that. But I'm kind of in the boat of sleep is incredibly important to me. And I don't like it being messed with. So the last thing I find getting notifications to be incredibly annoying. And I wake up every morning to at least 3 to 4 things that happened while I was asleep, like whether it's emails or, TikTok notifications or something. Like I get something and I'm like, I didn't know about it because I had my fucking focus on, which was way better. And I prefer that. So I would say that, we all need to break from our phones. So, the idea of, I've also, nothing like trying to take a nap in the middle of the day and your phone's like buzz, or my watch is like buzz, buzz. I'm like, fuck, I'm trying to sleep, man. Leave me alone, So I think it's important to take a break from your phone, and you should definitely give yourself the full opportunity to rest. I know they say it's bad to look at your phone prior to sleep because it can disrupt that as well. So I would say, I think Practical Doug would say you're sleeping. And unless you have something that is a potential emergency, turn that shit off. Like put it, you don't necessarily have to get it out of your room, but put on your sleep focus on your phone. Like put it so that it shuts your shit down. Use it to your advantage. Use it to allow yourself to know, hey, I need to go to bed now. Wind down, time to get ready, shut your shit off and sleep peacefully. And when you wake up, your stuff will be there. So I don't feel I recently got a text message at 3:30 in the morning and it didn't come through because I had my thing. If I would have been fucking woken up by that, I would have been fucking livid if I would have been ding to get some stupid ass fucking text message from some dumb, like my email didn't go through. It's like, it's 3:30 in the morning. Have some goddamn self-awareness of other people. What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Like it's bonkers because I also permanently have my phone on vibrate. Never have the ringer on. I can't stand the sound of it. I sound like an old man, but I have it on vibrate because I also don't want to be the guy that's like bing, bing. I'd rather it vibrate in my pocket, letting me know that something came through, and it'd be the same thing at night. I'd still hear I don't need that vibrating on my fucking nightstand. Get the fuck out of here.
Now, it sits next to you, or are you a fan of putting it at least across the room?
It's right next to me on my nightstand.
Doesn't matter to you.
No, because again, it's on sleep focus, so it has no opportunity to do anything to mess with me. So, because if it messes with me, I mess with it. That's how it works.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So do you sleep with yours outside of the room?
I do. Beth and I both have ours in the other room. Mine charges on my desk. Beth charges on the counter, and we're in the room that I'm currently sitting in. So it does reside. Ours reside in other rooms. We have no outside of an alarm clock, which I don't really even use the alarm feature for. Outside of that, there's no electronics in our room.
The reason being that you don't want that stuff in your room.
I just think that for me, I think that having no electronics in a room makes the room a little bit more relaxing. Like there's not a TV and a radio and a this and a that and a phone and a computer. Like it's way less clutter. It's a little bit more, not to get hippy dippy. It's a little more natural. Like you're taking out all electronics and you're just like, you've got a dresser and a lamp and some plants. It's a little bit more, to me, I find it more peaceful. And if I'm going to bed, I want to make the most peaceful environment that I can for myself. So,
no, that makes sense. I think we got a new TV for our family room, and then Jill's like, "Why don't we put the old one up in our room?" I'm like, "We're probably never going to use it. It just sits in there most of the time, not getting used, and that's fine with me." Like occasionally, like Jill and Natalie be doing something. I'm like, I'm going to watch TV upstairs and I'll watch it. But
Yeah.
I'd say less than 10% of the time it gets used. So it's in there, but I'm not a big TV before bed kind of person. And plus I usually go to bed before Jill. And so I respect what you're saying with that stuff. I used to do my homework on my bed when I was in high school. And I remember one of my teachers being like, "What are you doing? Like, that's a terrible idea." And I was like, "What?" They're like, "Because you're going to associate your bed with think time as opposed to sleep time."
Interesting.
And I was like, "Oh," they're also like, "Jesus Christ, that can't be comfortable." Sitting in your bed.
That's my first thing. Like just hunched over. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't comfortable, but I didn't really have a desk or a place to do it. And I sure wasn't going to do it on the kitchen table or anything like that. So I would just do it in my room. But I got to the point where that became a routine. I was like, oh, because if my brain associates, activation with instead of sleep time, that's bad. And I realized I changed it where I was like, oh, I'm just going to go in here. And when I'm in here, I'm sleeping. I would go to sleep real quick. My brain is like,
there's a psychology behind it. Yeah, for sure.
My brain was like, sleep time, not work time.
Yeah. If I go over, like if I stay the night at, like for a long time, when I was in high school and even in college, and even out of college, the first few years, I had a TV in my room. So I'm not like anyone who has a TV in the room, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just, for me, what I have found works better for me is that I keeping electronics out of my bedroom seems to create for me a more restful, psychologically creates a more restful environment for me. It's a little bit more tranquil, you know. I have a book on my nightstand, and if I need to, and one thing I think I might have mentioned this a while ago, one thing that I found like a brain hack for me is if I read a chapter before I go to bed, I will remember my dreams the next morning. If I don't read a book, I don't remember my dreams. And it's the weirdest thing. So by reading, something switches in my brain just by the act of reading that allows me to either retain the dream or be more creative at night or whatever that is, So to me, that is the environment that seems to work better for me when it's something a little bit more analog and less digital.
Yeah, I find myself whenever I'm around people who don't silence their phones and things like that, it's much more irritable to me because who can stand that constant ding?
Right.
It's bad enough on a day-to-day basis when you're like, I'm getting a Slack, I'm getting an Outlook email, I'm getting a G-Chat message, I'm getting a Discord message. Like there's a lot of notifications to then have that going all the time on all your devices. That has to be insane. That has to be.
Yeah.
And then Jared saying his nieces stayed at his, house on New Year's Eve and they don't have their phones on silent. It kept binging all night. And he goes, my apartment is so tiny I could hear it through the super thin walls. That sounds awful.
Sorry for that, man. Yeah.
But it's probably them punishing you for masturbating because they could probably hear you just through the walls.
They were tired. Right. They were tired of all the balloons having to be popped.
They were texting each other like, can you believe this? Our uncle is just, blowing loads. I can hear it literally hit the walls and then slowly slide down. Like, do you hear that? Or is that just a giant huntsman spider crawling around? Oh, no, it's just his jism. Never mind. And that has been Practical Doug.
Are you ready, kids?
Because they're like, oh, my God, I'm ready to go to sleep. And all they hear is...
Oh. And then right as Jared was climaxing.
Fuck me, slutty.
Quietly through the walls.
Quietly through the walls. Oh, that was so much fun. That was good.
Yep.
That was good. That was a good question. I like that. That was a good one, man.
There we go.
That was good insight. All right, buddy. What do you got to recommend this week?
Well, I'm going to recommend. I am such a ridiculous fan of the movie Encanto on Disney Plus. I would strongly recommend watching Encanto live from the Hollywood Bowl.
Ooh.
So they brought the original cast back together. It was actually they made the movie during the pandemic. So this is the first time that the cast has ever been together performing these songs live together on stage. So this was kind of a cool, like they actually got to be, in each other's presence and feel the performances and interact with each other. And they did a really great job. Basically, it was just all the songs through. They didn't really it wasn't like a stage performance of the film. It was almost like listening to the soundtrack live. But the way Lin-Manuel Miranda came out, he wrote all the songs for it along with the composer that they had. And he came out and introduced it, and in true like Disney magic fashion, he came out and did this wonderful introduction, and he's like, we even built a special casita for this thing, and he pounded his foot on the floor, and these tiles, it was all holographic things.
Oh, wow.
These tiles came out on the floor, and he's like, all we need is a little bit of magic, and he like jumped on them, and this like gold dust kind of like permeated out of them and came up the walls, and it built the house that is in the film, and the shutters moved just like it did in the house, and it was just, you watched it and you're like, this is Disney. This is that pure magic that Disney is known for creating. It was just a really cool experience. And to watch all the kids sitting in the Hollywood, and the adults, frankly, sitting in the Hollywood Bowl with just smiles plastered across their faces, singing along and being excited when, Bruno comes out, and they're like, like it was really cool. And it harkened back to, because you and I have talked about how Disney's lost a little bit of that sheen.
Mm-hmm.
It harkened back to kind of that magic that made Disney what it was when we were younger. And
it's funny you mentioned that, because I thought it was weird that like after like he jumped up and down and it kind of made the house, they're like, cool, if you'd like to see the rest of this, we just need you to pay $5.99 to see the next chapter. And if you pay $8.99, you can get a fast pass to see the next two. You can do that.
Well, here's the thing. That would have been the case if Dickhead Bob Chapek were still in charge of this fucking company.
Right.
But now that Iger's back,
yep,
we're good to go.
Nice.
Yeah. What do you got?
Or should I say,
Nice.
I'm having too much fun with that tonight.
I don't know why, but I love it. I hate it.
So I've heard for several months that Top Gun Maverick is a dope ass movie, and I'm like, I'll catch it on streaming. Well, it was on sale for $10 on iTunes, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna roll the dice on on this one. I'm gonna fucking get it, and I got it. It did not disappoint. It is. All right. I like Top Gun, the first one. This one, it's a solid sequel to it. Solid sequel. I was very pleased with it. I enjoyed it. Tom Cruise, just fucking, man, that guy fucking kills it. And the shots that they have in this film are, and because I know that he got in a fucking plane, into a goddamn jet, and was filming this shit, and you feel the stuff that you're like, oh my God, like it's crazy. It's so much fun. And the best part is like the bad guys are just nameless bad guys. Like, you don't know who they are. They could be any country. It's not the Russians. It's not the Chinese. It's just like, it works. It transcends wars. It transcends diplomatic atrocities. It's always there. It will always work, because it's just, there's a uranium deposit that, is going to be turned into nuclear weapons. We got to take it out. It's like, who's doing it? It's like, we got to take out this uranium deposit. It's being, it's going to be enriched in a week, and we got to take it out. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, it's a fun film. I guess it's streaming on Paramount Plus, and I'm like, I'm not fucking paying for Paramount Plus, but I bought it for $10. I'm like, yes, I will absolutely buy this movie, and I'm glad that I did. It's a great film. Highly recommend it. It lived up to its hype. Solid flick. Just fun action movie. So
love it.
It's not like Fast and the Furious fun, but it's a couple steps up there. So it's really cool. So highly recommend that. With that, gang, thanks for hanging out with us for another week of Mind Gap Podcast. And Justin, thank you for coming back. Appreciate you, buddy.
It's good to be back.
Yeah. Be sure to check us out on youtube.com/MindGapPodcast. If you're watching this there, please hit the like button. It's free. And if you're so inclined, hit that subscribe button. And please check out some of our other goodies that we have out there. I've posted some Andy America shorts. I very much enjoyed those. I also just posted a clip from last week's episode where we had the AI Alex Jones reviews Bluey. That's been a fun post. You can check that one out. That's really good. We got a whole bunch of other playlists and things like that. So please be sure to check out that stuff. Like, comment, share, all that good stuff. It means the world to us. We did a recap of where we've come in a year. We've come a really long ways, and it's all because of you, because of your engagement. So please keep doing that. Also, we do live stream the podcast on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central. I'll be hosting a video game live stream this Friday, January the 6th. We're going to be playing Among Us. We're going to be trying out the hide and seek mode with the Mind Gap All-Stars, so please be sure to check that out. That's 8 p.m. Central Time on Friday. We're going to have ourselves a real hootenanny for that. So please come and check that out. And also follow us on all our social medias at Mind Gap Podcast. And be sure to check out Justin as well.
On Instagram, it's at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, all the places where you can find and consume quality podcasts. You can find us. We ask that you share us around, like, subscribe, rate, review, all those good things. And then 2east8th.com and 2east8th on all social medias. Also, keep an eye out. Love and Improv Film on Instagram and loveandimprovfilm.com. We, in another week, we have our live improv shows coming up. So any backers that donated a certain amount of money to the crowdfunding thing that, one of the incentives was that you get to be a VIP at one of these shows, please check your email. You should have gotten a notification via Seed and Spark. We sent that email out that way. And you got to let us know which of the dates. It's either the 13th, the 14th, or the 16th, which date you'd like to attend a show. So keep an eye out if you're a backer. And if you just want to show up to Second City one of those days, you might be able to get in. So I'd say give it a shot.
That's the 13th, 14th, or whatever of January?
13th, 14th, and 16th. Yes.
All right.
So it's Friday, Saturday, Monday.
Cool. That's very cool.
There you go.